All right, let's just kind of walk through what we did. We first are using Django's built-in auth URLs by including this path accounts, including Django contrib auth URLs, and that gives us access to pretty much all the functionality to log in and everything. We created our templates folder on the same level as our manage.py folder in our Django project. And then in our templates, we created a registrations directory, which is going to hold our login as well as our sign up template. And we also created a base template. That just says Django auth tutorial. And then also our home page that, hey, if a user is logged in, it'll say hi username. So if user is authenticated, it'll say hi to the user. Else, it'll say you are not logged in and provide a link to the login page. And just like we extended the base HTML for our home page, let's go ahead and extend the base HTML to our login first. So we can say, extends base HTML to our login page. What is it? Actually, I don't even think we need to do that. Disregard. Sorry, so we're all actually good for right here. We're going to extend it once we get to our sign up. So let's just disregard that. So we created our home page. And now in order to render our home page, we created an accounts app, a totally separate accounts app. And in the accounts apps views, we created a home method that takes in a request and just renders the home HTML template. And that's what happens when you just go to a path without anything after the /. So if we go here, go to the /, it renders our home page. But let's talk about these templates that this home method that we're rendering a template and we're not passing any data into it. As Django being so very robust, the way we've been rendering templates is we've just been rendering methods that take in a request. However, Django has something called class-based views. So class-based views in Django. So instead of using methods and just rendering, we can actually write a class and that does the same thing. So I'm going to say introduction to built-in. I'm going to look for, if I can find it here, adding generic views. Nope. Template view. Built-in views. It's not what I want. Django template view. Is this what is it? Oh yeah. So Django has some base views, and the 3 base views are just view and template view. And template view just renders a template based off of this example. So there's a template view class, so I need to import that from the base view, and then create a class such as like home, pass in extend the template view, and just render a template name. So if looking at this example, inside my views, I'm just gonna come down here, comment this all out. I can import this template view at the top. So let's import that. And then instead of rendering this home view, I can say class home extends the template view, and then literally just say the template name equals home.html. And I don't need to say, I don't need this method get context data. This is if you want to pass data into it. I don't need that. So there's that. So here I created a class-based view. What questions do you have about this template view that all it does, takes in a request and renders a request as well as a template? These two do the exactly same thing. So if I do that, I can say inside of my URLs and my project URLs, I can render the home class, but these classes need to be rendered. Let's look at an example. They've got this as view method, which says, hey, render this class template view as a view. So if I come over here, refresh, everything is still working. What questions do you have?
Do we want to do this only for the home, or is this for, we should do this for every?
It's not that you should or shouldn't, but you can technically do this for every single view method. They've got different view methods for creating, updating, deleting, listing things, detail page. Essentially, what we've been doing, how you've created like a list page that has a list of all, posts. You have a detail page that does something. You have an update page or a form or everything. They have an explicit view for, or they have explicit class view for each of those.
How would you pass the data object in?
They've got, so once we actually go into like creating, so this is specifically for a template view. You can get context data that takes in some data that you want to pass in, such as maybe that corresponds to the URL, and run some, going into the database and grabbing data and then passing that on. But we'll get into the create portion, another class-based view coming up when we do the sign up page. So notice how in this views.py file, it's all in our accounts directory or in our accounts app. When in reality, the home page has really nothing to do with our accounts app. So we can even extract this even further. And instead of doing everything here, we can copy this over, import the template view here, and literally just say, instead of here, instead of going to views.home as view, we can render it. We can extract this out and just render so I'm importing the template view, which I was first importing here in my accounts view.py file, but now I'm just importing it here into my urls.py file within my project app. I can literally just say, hey, do a template view as a view. And what I'm passing in here is the template name, just like I was home.html. Just like I was doing here, the template name home HTML, I'm just rendering the template view, rendering it as a view, and typing in the template name is home.html. So I can get rid of this part and get rid of all that. So there's nothing in my accounts view page anymore. I can get rid of this file path. If I go back to my home.html, still works. Because I'm importing the template view, I'm rendering the template view as view, and I'm passing in the template name as an attribute or as a parameter or argument. What questions do you have? All right.
Tom, I guess if you still have to write some more logic in your view, you would abstract it out still to a function or a class over there, rather than it was just rendering one template.
Right. You'd have to run that like get context method. Or yeah, you'd have to run like get context data to render more data, or if you wanted to pass that data in.
So that would be the instance on where you actually populate something in views rather than put it just in the URLs.
Yeah. At that point, you'd probably want to extend the template view to its own view, its own class. All right. That's all fine. Everything's working. We can log in. We can go to the login page, but we don't have any users yet. So we're gonna have to actually go ahead and create a user. So we can create our first user using just the command line by doing Python manage.py create super user. Create super user. This is going to create a super user for our project. So it says username, leave blank. If you want to leave it blank, it's going to default to TA preet. So let's just do that. We can say email address, tom@email.com. We can say password is 123. Confirm password again, 123. And it says, hey, this password is too short. It must contain at least 8 characters. This password is too common. And this password is entirely numeric. So it already gives some notifications or some warnings like saying, hey, this password isn't good enough. But it says, hey, bypass password validation and create a user anyway. Let's just go ahead and create a user. So it's cool, super user created successfully. So if I refresh this, obviously it's not going to work. So I need to run the server again. And now I cancel this. I'm going to go to the home page. It says you are not logged in. If I go ahead and log in, I can say TA preet and type in 123. And it says, hi, TA preet. All right. So now, how do we log out? Do we even have a log out? So if we log out, let's see. So if I wanted to log out, can't log out yet. Cool. Maybe if I go to /logout. So if I do accounts /logout, it says, okay, accounts logged out, log in again. And now I'm just back in my admin dashboard, which I don't like. So if I go to a home page and log in and I want to log out, I want to go back to my home page. I want to go here after I log out. And in my settings, just like my login URL or my login redirect URL that redirected me to the home page, I want to log out a log out redirect URL. So I can say log out redirect URL. And I can just go there as well. And this can, I just kind of want to show you something. So if I go to login, now I do TA preet again. Let's actually restart the server just to make sure everything works. Clear the screen. All right. So if I refresh, TA preet, 123, log in. Now if I go to accounts /logout, accounts slash log out, it goes back to the home page. You are not logged in. And this route, it can go to anywhere. Go anywhere whenever I log out. So I can do the same thing, TA pre, 1, 2, 3. And then if I log out, do go to accounts slash log out, it says go anywhere. But obviously I don't have a view or anything to render when I go to this go anywhere template or this go anywhere URL. And this can take in not just file paths, but it can also take in templates. So via the name template. So if I wanted to go home, I can also just say, hey, render the home template name. So if I go home, it's going to render go right there. So if I can check that again, TA preet, 1, 2, 3, log in. If I wanted to log out, accounts slash log out, and it renders the home page. So this login redirect URL, you can pass in a named route or the actual hard-coded route. These two are the same. What questions do you have about logging in and logging out? All right. So I'm able to log in and log out, but I'm not able to actually sign up yet. Now, if I go over to my URLs for this accounts, like the built-in Django auth URLs, notice how it doesn't have like a sign up route. So I'm gonna actually have to create that from scratch. And that's why I created this accounts app, is to create my sign up capability. So in here, just like we have been doing with creating apps, I'm going to include accounts like there, which is first going to look at my accounts slash my accounts.urls file. Whoop, says no named accounts.urls. So inside my URL or my accounts app, I have to create my urls.py file. And then in my URL accounts app urls.py file, I need to do like from Django URLs import path, same thing. And then I can create a URL. So from import views, because I need to create a views. And I can say URL. Should I copy this over? URL patterns and get rid of all of this stuff. Actually. And if I go to sign up, what is going on? Ugh. Sign up like so. And maybe I want to do like views.signup with a name of, it's actually sign up user with a named route of sign up user. What questions do you have so far about creating an accounts slash sign up route? So if I want to go to account slash login, that's accounts.url Where is that? Oh. So I'm just going to create a def sign up user, takes in a request. I'm just going to pass for right now. Everything should still work. So I've got a login, but if I want to go to a sign up, if I go to sign up, nothing shows up right now. So in my project URLs, it comes under accounts. And then if there's a sign up after it, it will use the sign up route in my accounts app. Otherwise, it'll just use the basic built-in auth URLs. What questions do you have about the process of creating a sign up page now, which I haven't yet created yet?
Would you be able to override anything that's already in the auth.urls, or will that stuff still always take precedence?
There are actually, I don't know if you can overwrite any of the like the functionality of the password change. I mean, you can overwrite, like I can like do like account/login here and use my own login. But I'm not quite sure if you can explicitly change like the password reset and specific attributes of it. I think you can, but I don't know how. And for what we're doing right now, you don't need to override anything yet. Explicitly for like the logging in and logging out and password change.
So the reason we're doing this is just because there isn't an existing sign up logic or sign up path in there.
Correct. Yep. And I could easily do like just go to sign up, but I want to keep the routes relatively similar. So account/sign up, account/login. But yes, that is correct. It's because there isn't any sign up functionality yet. All right. So in my views now, in my project or in my accounts app, I need to actually create a sign up user method. And in here, just see. As you know, Django being so robust, I can say, hey, like if the request dot method equals a post request, do something else, like do something else. So Django already has pre-built forms explicitly for certain functionality of your application or of a Django app. So Django actually already has a user creation form built into it. So if I say like user creation form Django, user creation form. So I've got this user creation form class that already has a bunch of functionality in it that automatically will render a user creation form. I wonder if there's any other, this is bad, old version. See if this is it. So right here, user objects, creating users, a user creation form. So user creation form, it's a model form, which it means it's connected to a model within your database, such as the user model. And it already has some explicit functionality, like grabbing username, password, etc. And it already has a lot of the validations built into it. So this user creation form, so I can say, hey, if the request.method is a post request, I can say form equals user creation form that takes in the request dot post, and I'm going to have to import the user creation form. If it's a post request, I can say, hey, is the form valid? Form dot is valid. And this obviously just checks to make sure all the validations are true. Then I can do form.save. And then I can return, and I just want to redirect myself to the login page. Login. So it looks like I'm going to have to also import redirect. Else, so if its form isn't valid, I can just form equals user creation form and just renders a new user creation form. Return render, renders the request, and then renders registration / sign up.html, which we haven't created yet, and then passes in the form as an object. So let's check this out. So we haven't created
Tom, you
the
misspelled render.
render. Thank you. All right, so I go to sign up, still nothing because the sign up HTML file does not exist yet. So inside my registration, I want to create a sign up.html page. And just like I was here, I want to extend the base. So extend the base. Instead of home, I want it to say sign up. And then in my block content, I want it to render H2 sign up. I can say, hey, the form method is post. Then I need my CSRF token. And I can render the form as P. And then again, I can do the button sign up. And the type is submit. And maybe at the end of the form, if I don't want to, maybe I want to go to like the login page. If I'm like, don't need to sign up. href. URL login. All right. There's the login. So let's take a look at what's happening. So if I go to accounts / sign up, it goes into my projects URLs. It goes to accounts and it comes into here. It says include accounts.urls. Hey, there's a path called sign up. It matches that path. Goes into the views, looks for a sign up user view method, comes over here, sign up view method. Says, hey, if the request.method is a post request, grab this valid user creation form, blah, blah, blah. If it doesn't, just render this user creation form, assigns it to a variable, and then renders the registration.signup HTML, passes that form as a dictionary. So when it comes over here, form method is post, so it's not, so it literally just renders the sign up button, or just renders the sign up form. So when I go ahead and actually type in a user, say like new user, and it says, look, at your password can't be too similar. So if I try to do 123 and 123 and sign up, it says this password is too short, this password is too common, this password is entirely numeric. So I can actually type in a pretty extensive password. And say sign up. And if I click sign up, it'll come into here, takes in all that post request, passes it in the user creation form that's already built into Django's framework, checks if it's valid. If the form is valid, it saves the new user to the database and it redirects me to the login page. So if I go ahead and sign up, see what happens. Redirects me to the login page. Now I can actually say, hey, new user, pass in that. Says, hi, new user. What questions do you have?
Back in your HTML folder, Tom, your HTML file, home. Actually, no, yeah, sign up, I'm sorry. So the form as P, how is that form coming through into this HTML file again? How's it getting passed?
So inside of my sign up user method, takes in the request. And if I make a post request, that's when it saves it to the database. Else, when I first land on the sign up page, it just renders a user creation
I
form
see.
right
Returns
here.
the form to the
And then
page.
just returns that form to the page in the dictionary.
What would happen if you went to, in the URL on your web page, if you specifically typed accounts? Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah, I think so.
If I come over here, in my accounts, wait, where are my project URLs? If I go to accounts, it doesn't have an explicit just accounts / route because it all has an accounts login, accounts password change, all this. So it goes to accounts and then it looks for all these different methods.
Gotcha.
If I just went to, if I created a URL pattern, just like this, then I can render something. Then if I like created a new view and a new HTML template, then it could render something if I just went to accounts. So I go, hi, new user. If I wanted to log out, I can go to the home page and say like, there's log in. Whoop. And I can log out by doing href URL. And what's the named route of the logout? Is just logout. If I do that, I can log out. There we go, log in. T8 breed, 1, 2, 3. And then log out. So now we created a method, but we kind of want to, we don't have to, but I want to kind of show you the different other class-based views. So base views Django. So we have a, where are they? I wish there was a bigger list. So we have these base views, which is view, template view, redirect view. And if I go to generic templates, there's a detail view. So before, you know how we were creating like a list of, for like all the posts, show all the posts. And if you go click on there, you go to detail page, and then you can go to like a create page. So here's a detail view page and a list view class-based view. So just like before you were creating lists of everything or a detail page of stuff, you can do a list view and a list view and a detail view class. So you can essentially extract your detail view into a class detail view template. And then there's also, I want to kind of show you, I want to show you like a list of all of them. List of all templates. These templates in Django. Anyway, there's a create view class view. So for all the forms, if you're like creating things, updating things, deleting things in your database or in your view, so if you had to create a view, to edit things, just like what I'm doing here, posting things, you can utilize a class-based view for that. So these are generic editing views. So you have a form view, a create view, an update view, and a delete view. And you can look at examples here. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert this. So what am I doing here when I'm, what class based view should I use to create a user of these four?
Create.
So this create view. So I click here, a view that displays a form for creating an object, such as a new user, redisplaying the form with validation errors if there are any, and saving the object. So I'm just kind of looking here, kind of how to create it. Great. So if I look at this stuff, cool. So here, I'm going to import some stuff. So I'm going to, from Django.views, import generic. From, yeah. Then I'm going to say from Django URLs, import reverse lazy. Oh, Django.urls. And then instead of creating a view method like that, I'm going to create a class-based view called class signup. Signup. And I'm going to utilize this create view method. So I can say, hey, use generic dot the create view method. So I'm inheriting the functionality of the built-in create view method. And so the signup class is inheriting create view class attributes. And then the form I actually want to render is this user creation form. So I just want to see if there's other examples in here. Really not. So I can say, hey, the form class I want to render is the user creation form. And then another attribute I can say on a successful URL. So when I log in or sign up a new user, if it's successful, I want to reroute me to the login page. And the template that I actually want to render is this registration sign up template. So template underscore name equals that. So I just refactored this code to use a class-based create view. And this is all I need to write. And it has all the same functionality as this. Now, when I go to my views, instead of using the sign up method or sign up user method, I can just say, hey, sign up dot as a view. And I don't need to pass anything in there. And I'm just going to call this sign up. So if I come over here, if I go to login, let's actually create accounts, sign up. I rendered the exactly same thing. So I can say like Ruthie 123 123. So I actually need to use a pretty extensive password here. And say sign up. Hi, Ruthie. So now I can get rid of all this as well.
Hey, Tom, I had a quick
Yep.
question. When we created the super user, it asked for our email address. Like, for the other, like, person signing up, like, why is that different? Or like, where would we incorporate that, I guess?
So that's a good question. So the user creation form, I'm just gonna log out and go to accounts/sign up. It has a username. Oh, it's gonna and password. But if I wanted to add additional fields to this that are associated with the built-in user monitor, such as first name or last name, you can add different functionality. You can add explicitly like what fields you want to add for these user creation form. So
yeah,
you can say,
because I saw in the admin, you can actually put like first name, last name, email. Like if you go to the admin page.
oh yeah. So if I go to admin and say TA breed, users, like I have all this first name, last name, is active, status, super user status, and have all this other information. If I wanted to include the first name and last name in the user creation form, you can extend the user creation form and then also include other attributes. So customizing creation. So example like this here. So this user creation form, I'm creating a brand new form by inheriting from the user creation form. And it's say you have like a different user model or just like a new user model or even the existing user model, and just say like user here, and you can add additional fields. See if I have an example of one. So here's like some examples. So user creation forms, you can add an email field, user email. So this person, so you're extending the user creation form by reassigning, just adding additional fields to it. So let's just see if we can do that. Adding additional fields to user creation. It's probably, so yeah, so this is one example. It's probably not that great. It's not a good answer. No, not custom user model. Anyway, but yeah, you can extend the user creation form and add additional functionality to it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. I just want to see something real quick. Accounts. Oh, man. Oh. Yeah, so here is an example. So sign up. It's from an old project. So this is so I have to create like another form. So user creation form, custom user creation form, takes in a class meta. The model is associated with the user, and these are the fields that I want to include to show up, like first name, last name, email, the cohort, and the password. But you'd have to create like a separate file for forms. if I go to home page, I got hi TA Preet, log in, log out, TA Preet, 1, 2, 3, log out. If I go to accounts / sign up, comes over to here, URLs, accounts, first looks into the URLs here, doesn't find it, goes to sign up, looks into my views, finds a class called sign up, render it as a view, which inherits from the create view class that's built into Django. What form do I want to actually render? I want to render the user creation form. If I actually successfully log in or successfully submit that form and it passes all the validations, it's going to reroute me to the login page. And the template name that it's going to render is this HTML or signup.html template. So what questions do you have?
I got one, Tom, on the
Yep.
views or on the sign up. So the method that we had earlier, it returned the form to the page. In this case, the class is, it's not as clear to see how the class is returning the form to the signup.html page, I guess.
So here, it's not intuitive to see what's being rendered. Is that like?
Yeah.
So yeah, the create view just automatically returns a request, and let's look actually what it. Yeah, so like the create view class will automatically has like built in like, hey, return this template, and then for the form, just render this form. So that's what's being passed in.
I see.
So you're saying once an instance of that class is made from the inheritance, it knows to just return it? Sorry, I'm a little confused as what you were just explaining.
So this create view automatically knows like with these attributes what it should do. So it should render this template, and then the form it should render is this user creation form. And then so the create view class already knows what to do when you like submit that form. Otherwise, if it doesn't submit it, it already knows like what to render, which is the user creation form.
Okay, so those variables have to be that name.
Like form class, successfully in template name.
Yeah.
Yeah.